Hello Gecko and other reptile fans. So what's the number one food for small geckos, small reptiles? Small fish, small birds, mantises, what's the number one small food? Well, it might just be peanut beetles. Now stick around until the end of this video because I'm going to tell you how I almost lost my whole culture and how I made changes to improve the cultures and get about 10 times as many peanut beetles. Hey pet owners, tell me in a comment below, what are you feeding your small pets? Is it mealworms? Is it crickets? Is it small dubias? Let me know in a comment below. In this video, I'm going to tell you how we keep a small, flightless brown beetle called the peanut beetle. Peanut beetle's larvae is just perfect for your small pets. Now, a couple of years ago, I did a video on peanut beetles. Check this out right now. Like, how am I going to make peanut beetles interesting? Let's see if we can do that here. Of course, I have food out and Gus has just joined us. Okay, oops, one's getting out there. Are you ready? Now, peanut beetles aren't for tegus and monitors and snakes and any other large reptiles, but they're perfect for small pets. But why peanut beetles? Well, because they're small, they're a nutritional source of food for your pets, and also because they're easy to keep and super easy to breed. Why is that important? Well, that means that you have a consistent source of food for your small animals, and it costs almost nothing to breed them. Have you ever made that call in winter or summer and it's too hot or too cold and you have to pay for that shipping? Well, if you have a food source on hand, you eliminate all of the calling around to try to get your food sources for your pets. When we're feeding peanut beetles, we're actually only talking about feeding the larvae and how nutritious are those larvae. Take a look at this chart. Almost 55% protein and over 18% crude fat. Here's a really important note. Never feed your beetles to your animals because there have been reports of fatalities in reptiles. But there have been reports of huge benefits to eating peanut beetles by humans. Now let's talk about some details. There's 4 different stages to the peanut beetle: egg, larvae, pupa, and the beetles themselves. How long does it take for them to go from an egg all the way to the beetle? Well, it really depends on humidity, temperatures, foods that they're eating, and many other factors. But in general, eggs take about 7 to 14 days to hatch. The larvae will go for about 60 days until they form into the pupa, and the pupas live for about 7 days until they form into the beetles. So what do you say? Let's go ahead and set up a peanut beetle container. We're going to start with any type of container, a small container. We like to use these 6-quart tubs. They're just perfect for us. You can use any kind of small container that you want. You absolutely need some type of a substrate. We prefer wheat or oat brands. Oatmeal works great. And of course, you need peanuts. That arachidonic acid that's in those peanuts is essential for the peanut beetles to survive. Now, you can go with just peanuts in your container, but we like the substrate and then the peanuts right on top. Now that we have that container all set up for our peanut beetles, let's go ahead and seed from an old existing peanut beetle container. That should be enough for a good starter culture. Now's the fun part. We get to feed. Some of the foods that we prefer to feed are carrots, zucchini, cucumbers, and I love to feed pumpkin. Here's a couple of super important tips to keep your peanut beetles healthy. Now, in the fall of last year, I kept these containers without a top and I kept them in our main room. And they did okay, but then eventually they started dying off until I was actually down to about a dozen peanut beetles. That was a big concern to me. So I had to figure out what my errors were so that I could improve. I could get my peanut beetle cultures back up and running, but I could also improve on their care. And I figured it out. It's two very significant key points that you have to do with your peanut beetles to not only have them survive, but just really take off. The first is temperature. Now, you can keep your peanut beetles anywhere from 68 degrees all the way up to about 86 degrees. I've found the ultimate temperature, the optimum temperature to keep them at is about 80 degrees. I'm extremely fortunate that I have a bug room where I can keep all of my insects in, and that stays at about 80 degrees. If you don't have a bug room, you can simply take a heat mat and put it under the container to keep it a little bit warmer. Again, you want it to stay around 80 degrees. Another tip is that you can put that container by a light, like on the top of our tanks, or you can put it next to a heat source that will keep it around that 80 degree mark. Tip number 2, remember how I said that I kept our containers without tops in the fall and I lost a lot of peanut beetles? Well, we keep tops in our containers now. We open those tops about every day, at least every other day, but those tops help keep the humidity in these enclosures. And why is humidity important? Well, remember, these peanut beetles go through 4 life stages, and they have to have that humidity to be able to enable them to go through transition from stage to stage. By leaving the tops on the enclosures and feeding the food every other day, the vegetables, that keeps that humidity all contained in that enclosure. So again, we don't put air holes on the sides or the tops of these containers. We have dozens and dozens of tanks with small geckos in there. We feed mantis, we have tropical fish. I really don't know where we would be without peanut beetles. So they'll be a mainstay in our insect collection for a long time. I hope you keep peanut beetles as well. Thanks everyone for watching.